God's ways. And when we come together, we need to learn how do we move together. Because yesterday afternoon and last night, we were talking about being the body of Christ. Yep.
Yes.
And we were talking about how important it was to be joined together in the body of Christ, with Him as the head. Because that's the way that the authority and everything that He won for us at the cross is actually going to be released into the earth. Is through His body connected to Him as the head. So when we gather together, I don't know how to say this nicely, when we gather together, it's not about a whole lot of individual people coming to get individual messages and have individual worship in the same room. It's about individuals coming together, being joined together and moving as one body through worship, through whatever's going on, administrating whatever's going on, and then going home. Because you see, when you're at home and when we go from here and we continue then with fulfilling our personal callings and getting out there and bringing the kingdom in whatever it is we're doing, then at night we're praying and we're getting what we need individually and we're worshiping individually and we're doing those things. But when we gather, the point is not to be individual.
Right.
The point is to be corporate. Because you can worship individually at home.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
But too often we come into church and this is not true here, but I've seen it many places. We come into church and because we haven't worshipped all week and because we haven't been pursuing and developing our own relationship with the Lord, we come into church on a Sunday or whichever day it is, and now we want to draw on the people that have been praying and the people that have been worshiping. Now we're going to suck the life out of them so we can be revived and resuscitated. Because we all come to church wanting revival. You know why you want revival? Because you're dead. What is revival? It's life coming back into you. If we are the body of Christ, we should not be dead.
Amen.
We should be very much alive.
Amen.
And not with a life that we got once when we got born again. We are connected to the head and life is flowing through us in the body and we are constantly increasing and growing. So when we come together, we should be pulsating with life.
Yes.
Okay? So when we come together to come into worship, everybody's not pulling on the worship team to like, oh, revive me, take me somewhere in the spirit.
That's good.
Okay?
Come on.
No, we're all coming in here. Our flames are burning, our lamp is on fire, and we come together, we join together, and we go into places we could not go on our own to achieve things we could not achieve on our own.
That's good. Good work.
And so we've got to learn, what does that even look like in worship?
Come on.
So this morning, you could feel it. You see, what happened? We came in this morning, and because we're still learning these things, when we started in worship, we were worshiping individually.
Yes,
We would come bringing ourselves into the presence of God, and that's okay. But then what happened? We were singing that song about the God of miracles. And even as we were singing that, we were saying, I believe, you know, that, and you could feel something beginning to build.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in my spirit, I started to sing, we believe, we believe.
Yes.
You see, here's the thing, when we begin to come together, try to sing songs about we
Right.
and us.
Right. Amen.
Okay? Because all it does is it tells us, I'm not here alone worshiping, I'm with this person on this side and this way. We're one body.
That's good.
And then we went into the next song and you could feel that. And I think tomorrow went and got everybody to come forward, you know, which I know was she was seeing, what she was seeing in the spirit was the Lord was telling her, you know, we need to gather together because it's like we need to move together in this thing to break down a wall. And you felt that in the realm of the spirit, didn't you?
Yes.
You may not have known what was going on, but you could feel something begin to break. Why? Because we began to move together.
Amen.
Even physically, we move from being apart to being together. And sometimes you need to do that because we are human beings and we just need to be close to one another to feel connected to one another. And then as we began to do that, you could see we started to go somewhere. Now the deal is we have to learn about where we go. Okay? Because so often we get to that place in worship and we're like, oh, we don't quite know what to do now. Because where are we going? We came together as a body and now we ascended into the hill of the Lord and then we come before His throne.
Right.
And now we have to learn what to do as a corporate body before His throne.
That's good.
Because every time we gather, we're here for purpose. Because we're the Ekklesia. And we started learning last night, I'm going to touch some today. What does the Ekklesia actually do when they gather? What what's the point of them gathering? Because the point is we're meant to ascend to this place in Mount Zion, and then we're meant to do stuff. We're meant to administrate out of heaven the things that God wants administrated in that meeting, in whatever that looks like. So you could feel that this morning. We came up to a place, I mean, it was interesting. We came into this place, and then you said, you started declaring, and then you said, well, I'm just going to give it over to Pastor Rob, which was a very wise move. Because he's going, okay, I know we're here, I'm not exactly sure what we should do right now, so I'm going to give it to the person who's got the authority here, because he should know what to do. You know, and that's what we do. And then he's coming to me and going, have you got something? I'm like, you carry on. You see, we're all learning. None of us really has all the answers. But you know what? We're going to learn from one another, and we're going to hear from everybody. What are you seeing? And we're going to go on this journey together.
That's good.
Because we want to do the purpose we came here for.
Right. Yes.
I always say to people in every meeting I'm in, we come in, we go on a journey, we achieve something, and then we end. And we drink tea in my country and eat cake. Okay, well here you have, I don't know, iced tea or coffee or whatever you have here. But every time we gather as the body, there should be purpose. Even if that purpose is just to have fun, there should be purpose. Because we're a body. We shouldn't just get together and do the same old things that we've always done, because that's how you do them, and you can go home and say, tick, I went to church for 2 hours. So therefore, God, you should do X, Y, and Z for me.
Come on.
Okay? That's old wineskin, but we're not there anymore. We have shifted in our thinking, and we're now understanding every time we gather, we're coming into alignment to do what He wants done.
That's good.
And we're going to learn. I'm telling you, you're not going to get this right every time. Okay? The challenge is we have to learn how to do it.
That's right.
We have to learn how to do it. You see, the reason that you're going to discipleship courses and you're doing prophetic courses and you're learning about the courts of heaven, why do you think you've been trained and equipped in all of that? To do it.
To do it.
Yeah.
You see, so often we do all this training and we learn all these things and we just let it puff us up because we've got knowledge about stuff.
Right, right.
But the reason you're learning it is so you can do it. And so that when we come together corporately, we understand how to go into a court and what to do. So that when we come together corporately, we understand how to perceive what is happening in heaven, how to prophesy it, how to see it, how to move with it.
Oh, that's good.
You see, those things you don't get equipped so you can just know about it. You are equipped so that you can do it when you come together as a corporate body. You should be doing, okay, when you meet corporately, you should be doing the stuff you learned.
That's good.
Amen.
Okay? And if you set yourselves as a body towards that, if you are studying the courts, believe you me, when you gather together, the Lord will open the courts to you. Why? Because He wants you there more than you want to be there.
Come on.
Amen.
So you might not even be ready. And you're going to be in a meeting, like we were yesterday, and the court's open, and you're going, oh, what shall we do now? Okay? And you know what? With the understanding we have, honoring Him all the time, we do the best that we know how, and you will be absolutely amazed at how the Holy Spirit will help you, and how God will assist you in getting done what He wants done.
Amen.
You see, we have this idea that we have to understand everything and know everything about everything and be perfect in everything before we even try it. Now, where did that come from? Because it's not in the world. You know, Apple is forever putting out these updates. And they put them out and they're full of bugs. And I'm like, seriously, dudes, fix this before you put it out. And I once read a whole article on it. They said, no, they put it out because people must use it to find the problems, then they'll fix the problems and do an update. You look at anything in technology, they put it out and they fix the problems afterwards. They're not afraid of having issues. They go, well, we can fix that. It's us in the church who think it must all be 100% perfect before we even try it. That's called religion.
Yeah, come on.
That's right.
That's just religion.
That's all it is.
You know what? We are going to make mistakes as we learn.
Yes.
But every child that learns to walk, he doesn't stand up and walk the first time he gets up.
That's right.
He stands up, he falls down, he stands up, he falls down, he hits his head, he breaks his whatever open, he bleeds a little bit, but eventually he walks.
That's right.
And they all learn to walk. It happens. It's going to happen. You're going to reach a time where you're going to walk. Okay? And it's the same in the things of God.
Yes.
But you've got to be prepared to practice and stand up and fall down. And stand up and take one step and fall down. And it's okay.
Amen.
It's okay. And it's not about, when you're doing this, it's not about oh well, Pastor Rob doesn't know what he's doing. Look what a mess that was. It's not about one person.
That's right.
Because we are a body. And this body together is going to do this. Because one person can't do it. Someone's got a song. Someone's got a word. Someone's got a vision. Somebody's got a picture. That's how you're going to do it. Because every joint is going to have to supply for this body to move. Okay? But we've got to begin to move into those things. And I'm going to share this with you, which I don't usually do because I haven't really had time to process it. But last night, in the middle of the night, I was I'm not sure if it was a dream or a vision because I was kind of awake, I don't know, in that in-between state. And in this in-between state, there were a whole lot of people around me, but the Lord was talking to me. And He said to me, Beverley, here in this valley, there is a key of resurrection that has been kept hidden for generations and generations. And the enemy does not want the people of God to find the key of resurrection in the valley. So I'm like, okay. And I'm listening, I'm going, okay, God, what does that even mean? And then the people around me, I knew they were talking to me, but and God, I don't know if but anyway, the people around me were saying to me, things that you spoke this weekend are part of the keys for the resurrection. And these people were saying to me, can we use them? Can we use them? And I was like, sure, I don't even know what they are, but if God says you can use them, you can use them. And the Lord said to me, He said, it's time to uncover the ancient key of resurrection. Now, I know that sounds very New Agey. Just saying. Okay? But listen, why do you think you've got New Age here? Because there's a truth hidden in the ground, a power that belongs to the Lord, and the enemy has come and taken over.
Come on, come on.
Okay?
Amen.
Now, I am assuming that you all have a whole thing about the Valley of Dry Bones in this place. Just assuming, because we're in a desert, and just assuming. I don't know for sure, but as far as I can recall, I know that. So this morning when I got up, and I was hearing this word, and I said, well, God, what are we meant to do about that? How do we get hold of this? People have been here forever. All this stuff is going on in here. And I said, God, what do you want us to do about that? And then I said to him, and what was the key I was talking about that will help? Because I said a lot of things. And we said a lot of things. And I felt like the key thing that the Lord was speaking about was this coming together of the body.
Amen.
That is the key for the release of resurrection power out of this valley.
Yes.
It's the key. And that's one of the reasons, even I said it last night, it's one of the reasons the enemy has fought so hard to keep everybody separate in this place.
Yes.
Right.
So I went to Ezekiel 37, because that's obviously the scripture that kind of goes with that. So I went there and I had a look at it again, and this is what the Lord showed me about that. And it was interesting because it began to play out this morning. So you all know the scripture, but I want to I just want to draw your attention to this. So he asks him, can these bones live? And he says, only you know, Lord. And then verse 4, Ezekiel 37, it says, again he said to me, prophesy to these bones, say to them, O dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord God to these bones, surely I will cause breath to enter into you, and you shall live. I will put sinew on you and bring flesh upon you, cover you with skin, put breath in you, and you shall live. Then you shall know that I am the Lord. You all know that's the prophecy. So verse 7, so I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied there was a noise, and suddenly a rattling, and the bones came together, bone to bone. Indeed, as I looked, the sinews and the flesh came upon them, and the skin covered them over, but there was no breath in them. I'm going to stop there. And as I was reading that, I was saying, okay, God, we know the scripture, and we've all prophesied to the dry bones, and we've called the breath of God, and we've gone, I'm sure people have gone out here and prophesied over, I'm sure we've done all of those things, okay? But we're still not seeing the resurrection that is prophesied of a great and mighty army arising up out of this valley of dead bones. So we're still not there. Now, what we've done has been good, and it's probably been all part of the journey we've been on, but what God brought my attention to here was he said that when he prophesied that there was a shaking and a rattling. You see, we may have been prophesying things for years, and then your life starts to shake. And things get worse around you. And your life falls apart. And all the promises, and when you got out initially to prophesy about this thing, you were all like believing the promises of God,
Yes, come on.
So what's that about, God? And and then we get into, as I spoke about yesterday, we maybe fall into this thing of becoming hopeless and all of those things which we spoke about. But the Lord said to me, you see, He says, and as I prophesied, there was a noise and suddenly a rattling. So if you're going to come and you're going to see and you're going to begin to speak into and stand in the prophetic word that's over the state, you are going to experience a rattling and a shaking.
Yes, yes.
Okay? Because it's part of the process. And then it says, and the bones came together bone to bone. The bones came together. Now the bones are the structure. And God said to me, you see, after that, the flesh and the sinew and everything comes upon it. But the bones came together. The step we have to make is coming together.
Yes, yes.
This is what we were talking about yesterday. The step we have to make is say, okay, God, I need to be connected to a body. I need to be connected in your body. I need to be planted in the house of the Lord. All the things we were talking yesterday. That is the first step. It's the step we have to take. If we don't go and connect ourselves to another bone, put ourselves connected to someone, He can't bring the sinew and the flesh and then breathe life in us.
Amen.
You see, we're trying to get all the other stuff, and God's saying, but you have to do the first part, which is the bones must come together.
Yeah.
The bones must come and be positioned next to one another. We have to make decisions to be joined into the body in the place that God has called you to be joined into the body.
Amen.
And not half-heartedly. We have to do it understanding that I am going to come and stand here because this is where God has called me to be part of. And I understand that as I do this in obedience, sinew is going to come. Flesh is going to become. I'm going to be built into the body from this place.
That's good.
You see, if we don't take that first step of connecting bone to bone, the rest of the stuff is not going to happen. And so God is saying the key of resurrection, life, is hidden in this valley.
Amen.
And there is something that the Lord wants to unlock out of this valley, that a great and mighty army is going to arise out of here. I believe a one new man, a prototype, even if you want, of the Ekklesia is going to stand up out of this place and is going to begin to war for things, and it's going to be a prototype. And other states can look around and go, well, how did they do that? Oh my goodness, if they can come out of Phoenix, because nothing lives in Phoenix. Everything dies in the desert. Everybody goes there to die. Didn't somebody tell me this was the graveyard of the prophets? Well, let me tell you, if God begins to raise up the next prophetic movement out of this place, everybody's going to know it was God, because everyone says, well, everything comes to Phoenix to die.
Come on, teach it.
But the word of the Lord over Phoenix is that everything that comes here that has died will live again.
That's right.
But the enemy has twisted that thing around.
Yes.
And so God is saying to us, it is time, it is the season that He wants for His word over this region to stand up. But it's going to start with you and me.
Right.
The bones getting together. Okay? You've got to go and put yourself next to another bone. I told you, it sounds
That's
crazy.
good.
Anyone has to walk in the middle of some of the stuff we say.
That's good teaching.
Okay? You've got to. Because how is He going to build that body? How is He going to knit it together if I'm sitting at home every Friday, Saturday, Sunday? I don't want to be part of anything. If I'm not going to commit to being part of something, how's He going to make a body?
Right.
How is He going to make that body?
That's good.
Okay? And so so this morning, that's why this morning when we were in worship and everybody started to come forward, that was like a prophetic sign that said we're going to come and stand next to one another. We're not going to stay where we are, where it's comfortable, but we're going to come and stand next to one another. And did you see that simple movement released something of the presence of heaven that we had not experienced? And you're going to see, as you do that, you're going to see a greater and greater release of the presence of God in your midst. Because that's what He says He will do.
We receive it.
He has His ways. We have our ways, and we keep doing our ways and asking Him to bless them, but He says, just come and be in my way.
Yes, yes.
Just walk in my way. If you walk in my way, you're going to be amazed at what happens. So that's part of the challenge that the Lord is leaving with you. Okay? It's it's time for the bones to come together. Now, I don't care if your life is rattling and shaking and there's noise, okay? The way that that's going to stabilize is when the bones come together.
Amen.
Because you know what? Bones, now I've never really worked with bones, dead bones, okay? I'm just letting you know, okay? But I would imagine, because I've seen enough movies, you know when they see all the bones and they're all white? If they were all loose and there was a shaking, it would make a noise and they would shake.
Right.
But if you began to join them together, the shaking would subside to a great degree because there would be stabilization through the body.
That's a good analogy. I like that. That's good.
So part of dealing with the shaking in your life is for bones to come together.
Wow.
It will begin to stabilize some things in your life.
It's real good.
You know why? Because as an ecclesia, we're a body. We learned that last night. And part of being an ecclesia, we're going to talk today about some of the function of being an ecclesia, but part of being an ecclesia is being in a body, being in a community. Because you see, as I pursue the thing that God has called me to be, because everybody that's part of the body, they all have their own calling and their own destiny. That's what I was saying last night. Figure out who you are and go after that with everything in you. Because you, Laurie, you have a calling in God that's your own personal destiny. And so does Mark, you know, and so does Tamara and Pastor Rob and you all have your own calling with your own book. Okay? But you're only ever going to fulfill it in the body.
Yes.
Because here's the deal. If you separate yourself and you're just pushing in and you're trying to go after what God has for you, it's just you trying to go after what God has for you.
Yep.
And that's a very lonely, tiring place.
That's good.
Okay? But when I'm in the body that understands Ekklesia, we understand everybody here must fulfill what God has written for them. Okay? No matter what that is, whether you're teaching a class, whether you're selling t-shirts, whatever you're doing, making health products, whatever you're doing, you've got to do that thing because God wrote for you to do that thing. And that's how you bring in the kingdom. And so, but here's the deal. As you're going after that thing every day of your life, with everything in you, putting into practice everything you've learned, you're going to have bad days. I'm just giving you a heads up. You're going to have bad days.
That's good.
You're going to have great days where you have great successes, and you're going to have days where things are just terrible. And you know what? On those days when things are just terrible and nothing seems to be working, God has designed a body to be around you. That you could go and find some friends in that body and open a bottle of wine and whine with them about how bad your day was. And get it all out your system and cry on each other's shoulders and eat chocolate cake together and say it's going to be okay. And then the one can prophesy to you and say, but remember what God said and remember how He said this and remember what He did for you. And I know today's been bad, but tomorrow's going to be better. And I'm standing with you. And even if the whole world doesn't like you, I'm your friend and I'm with you.
That's good. Come on.
And you know what? We all need that stuff.
Yes.
We all need that stuff. And that's why you need to be part of a body. Because that's what the body does for one another. We encourage, we exhort, we uplift. We gather together to strengthen one another in the bond of peace.
Amen.
Okay? That's why you've got to be part of a body. Not just so that you can do things for God. No, you're part of a body because you're called to do your thing for God. But when you gather together corporately, you're going to administrate things over regions and cities that's going to free you to go further in your calling.
Right.
But you have to do it together because the thing you're going to do together you can't do on your own. And so you're going to function in that. But you also are going to have a comfort and a life and people and friends and family and a place of belonging that you won't have.
That's good.
Because the body is a community as well.
Right.
You see, sometimes when we get into this ecclesia thing, and you know, what happens is we get all about the function of the ecclesia. And there is important function, because we've got to shift nations and change things and administrate things, and that is an important function and one we must do. But we're not only about function.
Right.
The body is joined and knit together, and there's relationship.
Yes.
And we care for one another. If the foot is hurting, well, you know what? Let's help take care of the foot.
That's right.
Because if my foot is hurting, the whole body is hobbling along. And if the hand is broken and hurting, let's help care for that hand. Let's get it strong again. Otherwise, we only have one hand and we're unbalanced.
Right.
You see, in an ecclesia community, everybody understands we're not here to serve Pastor Rob's vision. We don't come together on a Saturday night or whatever to serve a vision he has to do something. No, that's not what it's about.
Come on.
Okay? We come together because every single one of you has your own book, your own calling, your own destiny. Okay? You come on a Wednesday night or wherever you go, you get equipped there. Because the calling you have, you need to be equipped. So if you're selling t-shirts, you may need to know how to give words of knowledge to customers, how to prophesy when you need to prophesy, how to get strategic things, how to deal with things in the courts of heaven coming against your business. You need to be equipped to do those things because that's your calling and that's what you're doing.
Come on.
Okay? So you come, and part of being the part of the body is you're equipped to do what those, so that you can fulfill what God called you to do. But when we gather together, we come together to affect things over the whole city and the whole region. So say, for example, here in Phoenix, there's a spirit of death over the city, let's just say. And what's happening is, everybody here who starts a business, it dies. Just let's say. So we understand, and God begins to give understanding of what that is. Now, we can't deal with that stronghold over a city, one person.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
You can't deal with it. You may identify it, you may see stuff about it, God may give you understanding about it, but you on your own will never deal with a stronghold over a city.
That's right.
That's good.
Okay?
Come on.
Because it's just designed that way.
Yeah.
You're not that important. Okay?
That's right.
It's going to take the body of Christ, with Christ as the head, because he's the one who overcame that principality, not
That's
you.
right. That's
He
right.
did. Okay?
Yes,
And
he
so when we come together as a body, with him as the head, under his instruction, and wielding his power and his authority,
Yes.
we can go to court, or whichever way we need to go. We're going to go and deal with that spirit of death. We're going to remove it from its throne over the city. We're going to do it together. And then guess what? Every single businessman and person in that conference, the thing that was oppressing your business and causing it to die has been removed, and now you can flourish.
That's
Right.
good.
Right.
And together you achieved something that you couldn't do on your own.
That's right.
Amen.
That's why we're an ecclesia.
Right.
But being an ecclesia doesn't mean we all come to serve a man's vision. We're not building pyramids. Okay? We're a body.
Amen.
And every part of the body has its own function. A thumb must do a different thing to a pinky finger. Okay? And it doesn't help that this thumb keeps trying to be a pinky. Okay? They have completely different functions. And when we come together, be who you are, fulfill who you are. Do your job.
Amen.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Because we sometimes get that thing messed up. When people say, well, you need to be part of this ecclesia or part of this church because this is what we are doing. No. Okay? You already have your book. You already have your calling, God. You have what you have to do. And you have to go after that. Because you're going to stand before God one day and he's going to say, why didn't you do what's in your book? And you say, well, I was so busy serving the pastor's vision. We say, well, I didn't call you to do his vision. I called him to do his vision. I called you to do yours.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
But when we come together, we all play a part.
Right.
That's right.
Okay? So I'm hoping you're understanding that. So being part of a community, part of that means you must be self-governing. Okay? In this sense. We have to learn how to hear God. Okay? And we have to learn his way. And once I've heard God, I submit it to my authorities around me. His wisdom in the multitude of counsels, all of those things. These are ways of God.
Right.
But you better learn how to hear God for yourself.
Amen.
Because if you don't, you're going to come under some control kind of thing where someone's telling you who you can marry and what house you can live in and when you can move and what you can do.
That's good teaching.
Okay?
Come on.
Part of the reason you come under that is because you didn't grow up and take your responsibility to hear God for yourself.
Right.
Amen.
Right.
You see, we want to run off, get prophetic words, get the pastor, get someone to tell us what to do. That's going to lead you into deception a lot of times.
Right.
Yes.
You better go hear God first because the word of the prophet confirms what God already spoke to you.
Right.
That's good teaching. Come on.
Okay? If you get a prophetic word that's completely new to you and you're like, well, I never heard of that, I suggest you take that and put that on the shelf for a little while.
Right.
It may be something that's way out in your future.
Yeah.
Because when it's a now word, you've already felt it stirring.
Yeah.
You're a child of God. He's already spoken to you. You may not have put it into those words, but you know that. You're starting to feel that. Okay? And when we don't develop our own relationship with God, let me tell you, there's a vacuum and somebody will step into it. Okay? And then we complain and say, oh, that person's so controlling. No, you allowed them that position in your life.
That's real good. Come on.
I'm just saying.
That's good teaching.
Okay? So as an ecclesia, we must learn to be self-governing in that respect. You need to hear God. If you're getting married, you better know you heard God to marry that person. Yes, there are principles that we submit those to. Our parents should give their blessings, spiritual authorities, those things. But you better know you heard God. Because one day when you all are going through problems, you're going to say, oh, but Pastor Kay said we should be married. That's still not going to be enough to keep you in that marriage. Any of you who've been married long enough, you know. When the going gets rough, sometimes the only reason you're hanging in there is because God said so. And you know God said so. Okay? I don't know about you, but I've been there. And I know it so completely on the inside of me. I know that I could never go against it because I know what God said.
Right.
Now we need to know what God has said about us.
Yes.
So in that sense, we need to be self-governing. We need to be growing up. We need to be taking responsibility for our own spiritual walk.
Yep.
Your growth in the things of the kingdom is not dependent on somebody else. It's dependent on you.
Yes.
Okay? You have a responsibility to learn the word. You have a responsibility to teach and to find out and to learn and to practice. You. Okay? You cannot put your spiritual growth on your pastor or your cell group leader or whoever. Well, they're not teaching me the right stuff. Well, how? In the world today, with Google and YouTube and Facebook Live and every other resource there is, you can listen to anybody you want to. And there's lots of good people out there. So if the place that God has called you to be put in, don't up and leave. Say, okay, God, whatever He's doing now is not really talking to me. Listen, go supplement your own food.
That's good teaching. Come on.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a body, there are times where you have to go back and reteach things. Because new people are coming all the time.
Yes.
So sometimes in a body like this, you've got to teach foundations again. That doesn't mean you go, oh, I'm out of here teaching foundations. No, you stay. Okay? Because as I said last night, God may open up a whole new level. But you know what? If that's not where your focus is, be in church, listen to that, let God minister to you through that, but then go out and find something else to study at the same time.
Amen.
Amen.
That's good teaching.
This stuff is actually simple. It's not complicated. And if we just take off all our religiousness for 1 minute, it's actually obvious. So ecclesia communities are self-governing in that sense. Now I don't mean they're independent.
Right.
Okay? It's not like, well, I'll do whatever I want because I heard God. No. Because you understand the whole concept of being submitted into a body, being part of a body, submit one to another. All of those things. Okay? We dealt with a lot of that yesterday. But I want us to understand, because this was a key thing for me in understanding the body. It's not about you all coming together to do someone else's vision. You've got to fulfill who God called you to be.
Right.
And when you come together, you will fulfill His vision for whatever that thing is.
Right.
Okay?
That's good.
All right, so that's what it looks like, the body, it looks like as a community. So I'm just going to move quickly here. So what are the functions? So we know now what that looks like to be an ecclesia. But what are the functions? What's our job? When we get together as an ecclesia, what is our job? Okay? Because we understand that on one hand we have discipleship and teaching and things to do. But when we gather like we did today, okay, and we come into that corporate place of worship and we come before the throne, invariably what we do is we get there, we're not really sure what to do. So invariably what I have learned in good church terms, we transition to the word. Okay? And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, but here's the deal. We've ascended the hill of the Lord. We've come together. We're in this place. Now let's interact with Him. The whole reason we came together was to come before His throne, to hear what He wants to say, to administrate what He wants. Now maybe in that particular meeting, He doesn't. He wants you to be taught. Maybe in that meeting, He wants you to have communion and prophesy to one another. Maybe in that meeting, He may just want you to worship. But you've got to discern in that meeting what it looks like. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But some of the things, so let's just talk about some of the things that we are going to do when we gather as an ecclesia. Remember, Pastor Rob was telling us yesterday that when you're an ecclesia, you have a lampstand, which means that you're governmental. But let's just have a look, because Jesus in Matthew 16:18, we read the script last night, Jesus actually actually says, I'm going to build my Ekklesia, and then he tells us what we're going to do. So he says, I'm going to build the Ekklesia, and we understand by the nature of the term that he uses, what we're going to do is govern. We're going to be governmental. By the nature of the term Ekklesia, it means that what we're going to do is going to be governmental for our region. We're going to be governing over our city, our region, our town, whatever it is that we're doing. So the nature of what we're going to be doing is going to be governmental. And then he says, and the gates of Hades will not prevail against it. So the gates of Hades are not going to prevail against the Ekklesia. Now what that says to me is, well, we are meant to be prevailing against them. Right. So that says to me that our job is to overcome gates of Hades.
Right.
So what is a gate of Hades? Now I want you just to take note. It says a gate of Hades. It does not say a gate of hell. Hell and Hades are two different places. Hell is the place in the lake of fire where Satan will eventually be thrown and he'll be dealt with there. Okay? That is not the place that Jesus is talking about. He is talking about Hades, which is a place of death. It is where people are alive but they're dead. Okay? It's the place of death. I'm not going to go too much into it. You can go and research it. So any place, so when Jesus says you're going to prevail against the gates of Hades, he's saying you're going to be prevailing against governmental structures that are bringing death.
That's real good. Come on.
So what are governmental structures that are bringing death? Well, think about our cultures.
Yes.
There are things in our cultures that are bringing death to people, making them alive but dead.
Right.
Okay? And if you're familiar with any of the Seven Mountains teachings, Lance Warner really does good teaching on it. He says, in each of those mountains of culture, there are gates, governmental structures that are established that don't allow believers and light into them because they are going to govern what's in that mountain.
That's right.
So just think about arts and entertainment.
Yes, come on.
Okay? There is a demonic government of people that dictate what it is that we watch on TV and the kind of films that we're seeing and what our young people and the next generation is learning.
That's true.
That is called a gate of Hades.
That's true.
Because it's bringing people into death. Listen, some of the stuff out there today, like, I hear about some and I think, seriously?
Right.
People are watching that stuff for entertainment? Okay? Why? Because it's programmed brought us into death. And it's bringing people into death.
Yeah.
Because you're watching it and it's taking you into thinking patterns and ideas that bring you into death.
Yeah.
So our job is going to be to deal with gates of Hades.
Yes.
We're going to have to deal with governmental structures.
Yes.
Now, our first time out, we're not going to go deal with the gates over the arts and entertainment mountain. Let me just tell you, we're not going to do that. Okay? That would be stupidity. But we're going to maybe deal with gates in the city. Okay? And our first time out, we're not going to do that either, I can tell you also. But here's the thing. You know what we did yesterday, those of you who were here in the afternoon, where we went into the courts as an Ekklesia and we began to repent for rebellion?
Yes.
That rebellious individual thing, we were beginning to deal with the gate of death.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Because the enemy has set up that thinking pattern over this region, and as it has encircled people, it's brought them into death. Why? Because that kind of thinking and allowing rebellion does not allow you to be joined to anything, so no life can flow to you.
Right.
So what we did yesterday, we were prevailing against the gate of death. Okay? Now we're going to be, when we gather together, now listen, we didn't plan to do that yesterday. Pastor Rob got up and he preached this amazing message and he was praying and suddenly we were like, oh, we're in a court. And I was like, okay, what should we do? But God showed us and he taught us what to do. And we repented and we prevailed in the measure we needed to prevail yesterday against that mindset which allowed us to even do what we did last night and this morning.
That's good, yes.
Because you see, if we had not prevailed to a degree against that, this morning we would not have been able to come into this agreement that we came into this morning as one body. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So when we come together, we are going to begin to prevail against these gates of death.
Amen.
And you know what? God will show them to you. As you begin, God will begin to uncover them to you. He will show them to you. All right? You don't always have to go seek them out. I always say to people, we don't have to go and find an enemy. We got enough of them. They'll pitch up. Okay? When we start doing what God has called us to do, the enemy's going to arrive.
Yes, yes, yes.
You see, that message that was preached yesterday, and truth was coming, and we were beginning to understand something, the enemy immediately stood up against us in court. And said, well, these people are, there's rebellion.
Come on, come on.
And so we were able to repent, and we were able to deal with it as within the sphere that we could deal with it yesterday, which allowed us to begin to break into something today, last night and today. Do you see how that works?
Yes.
So that's part of what we're going to do. We're going to prevail against the gates of Hades. And then after that, Jesus says, and I will give you the keys of the kingdom, and what you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, however it says it. But what it actually says, because we got messed up in this, okay? We read that, and we say, well, I've got the keys of the kingdom, and I'm going to bind you, and I'm going to bind your mother-in-law, I'm going to bind everything that came in with everything, and I'm going to loose this, and I'm going to loose it. Listen, it does not say that.
That's right.
Okay? We got messed up in this binding and loosing. We thought we could bind and loose anything. Okay? And I think we just loosed a whole lot more craziness than anything else. But anyway, what that script actually means is what is already bound in heaven,
right,
you can bind on earth.
That's right.
And what has already been loosed in heaven, you can loose on earth. So what that is, it's actually legal terminology, and the rabbis understood that because the rabbis already used language that means we will permit this and we will forbid this. So in Ekklesia, when they begin to come together, they have the authority under Jesus to begin to forbid and permit.
Yes.
You can begin to decree, in this city, we forbid this. In this city, we permit this. Okay? Through legislative assemblies, we can begin to rule and say, we're not going to allow this in our city.
That's good
Did you know you
teaching.
had that authority? Well, that's what Jesus said. That's what Jesus said. His Ekklesia will have that authority. We govern. We say what can come in and not come into our city. If you don't like what's in your city, it's because you haven't been ruling as an Ekklesia.
Wow.
Something else has. And it has been saying what will be in the city.
Right.
Does that make sense?
That's good teaching.
So, these and so for me, these are the two things that we do. We govern by prevailing against the gates of Hades and by establishing righteousness and justice as we forbid and permit. It's a simple job. But that's what we're meant to do. When we gather together as an Ekklesia, that's what we are doing. Because we're coming together corporately under Jesus our head to do those things for our regions. Because if we will do those things for our regions, every person in the region will begin to flourish. Why? Because the government of God will be established. And when the government of God is established, every person can flourish in their own destiny and calling.
Amen.
You understand?
Yeah.
That's why we need to be a body. That's why we need to meet together regularly. Because God has assignments and things we need to do over our region, over our city, even over the neighborhood we're in, because He's trying to let everybody flourish. But if the Ekklesia doesn't do its job, the enemy's government stays in place.
Yeah.
And so, as we're beginning to understand becoming a body, we need to begin to understand that as an Ekklesia, this is our job. When you gather, when you've come up the mountain of the Lord, and you're in that place, you need to begin to ask, God, what would you have us do today? We are here as your Ekklesia. What do you need? What do you want done?
Yeah.
Now, every time you gather, you may not have a huge big assignment, but every time you gather, there'll be something.
That's good.
There'll be something. You've just got to, in faith, present yourself and say, we're here to administrate your government. How does that happen? Just very quickly. Some of the ways, what that looks like in the, the arenas that you do these things in, because we don't just do this and then we start declaring, well, we forbid this and permit this. No. When we gather together and we ask the Lord, I see 3 different arms of government that we operate in. And it is based out of Isaiah 33:22 that says, God is our lawmaker, our king, and our judge.
Yes.
So when we're talking about establishing God's government, just as government in the natural, there are 3 arms of government. There's a judicial system,
Yes.
there's an executive, and there's a legislative assembly, like your House or your Senate. Okay? 3 arms of government. I believe there are 3 arms of government in God's house. So we will learn to administrate in all 3 of those places. So we are really beginning to understand the courts of the Lord. That's God's judicial system.
Yes.
And we have to understand how to operate there if we're going to govern. Yep. Any government has to have a functioning court system. So this is why God is releasing the understanding of the courts right now, not just so that you can get free from generational stuff, because God wants a functioning court system because He's trying to establish His government. So sometimes we're going to end up in the courts like we did yesterday. That's the judicial side. The executive branch of God's government is, I believe, what we call the counsel of the Lord.
Yes.
And when Robert Henderson was here last year in December, he taught on the counsel of the Lord. You see, I look at it like this. Your president, he has a cabinet.
Yes.
Okay? The cabinet ministers. Now, most of those people are friends of his or people who share his heart in the things that he wants to do. He takes advice from them. Yeah? Okay? So what is the counsel of the Lord, or the executive arm of God, of God's government? It's when He invites His friends who share His heart so that He can talk with them about the things He wants to do in the earth. And that place is not a place you can just march into. You have to be invited to be in the counsel of the Lord. It is the Lord who extends an invitation to His friends. And so, as an ecclesia, in your personal capacity, you need to develop your relationship as the friend of God. But you as an ecclesia, through your worship and through continually laying yourself before the Lord and saying, Lord, what do you want? As an ecclesia, as you make His heart your priority, you will see more and more you will be invited into His counsel. And He'll invite you and say, well, you know what? This is what's happening in Phoenix. What do you think we should do? That's what He did with Abraham. He said, I have to judge Sodom and Gomorrah. But what do you think?
Come on.
Because He knew Abraham carried his heart, and God doesn't want to destroy cities, so He wants to give you the legal right to say, no, don't do that. For this, will you save them? For this, will you save them?
Really
God wants to give you that place of authority for your state. He wants to take counsel with you about how things should unfold in your state. That's the authority vested in the ecclesia. You see, we haven't understood everything that is open to us. So there's courts, and there's the executive or the counsel of the Lord, and then there's what I call the legislative assembly. And that is when we gather as an ecclesia, and we know that God has given a decree out of the courts, then we gather together as a legislative assembly, and we begin to declare what the Lord has spoken. And we begin to make declarations, but now you're not making the declaration as the pastor of the church or as the worship leader. No. We are gathered as one body, under Jesus our head, and when we speak the declaration, it is with the authority of heaven behind us. We're in a setting of a legislative assembly where it's being recorded and scribed, and as we say yes, and we are recorded saying yes, it begins to set in motion everything that needs to happen for those things to be established. Think about, I'm not exactly sure about American politics, but we have a parliament, and when something is brought before the parliament, a proposed bill, and everybody votes and says yes, we say yes, what happens is that is signed into law, and it now becomes law, and the whole population, now that becomes effective throughout the nation. So now imagine when we as an ecclesia, under the authority of heaven, begin to decree and say this is what, we make a declaration that this is what it is. And it is because we're in a legislative assembly, it is signed into law, and angels go with that. And that must now be established throughout the territory.
Amen.
You see, this is how the government of God is going to come. You see, we talk about the government of God as this airy-fairy, we want God, we want the government of God. But God's government is going to be established through His body, the ecclesia.
Right.
We learn, and you look in Scripture, all it says, His body, the ecclesia. We are the body, He is the head. And He has already won everything we need. He has all authority. We read that in Ephesians. All authority over every power, principality, everything in heaven. It's all. He has it all.
Yes.
And when the body forms and He is the head, this is how we administrate it. Out of the courts, out of the council, out of legislative assemblies. And we establish His government so that He can rule and reign.
Amen.
That's where we're going, guys. That's the reason you gather. I don't know why you thought you gathered, but that's the reason you gather. Because we're going to establish His government over this region.
Yes. That's
You see, that's why in Hebrews, where it talks about Jesus has opened up a new and a living way for us through his body, Hebrews 10, I think it's 18 or 19, because in his death, he opened up a way for us to get into the Holy of Holies. What's the Holy of Holies? Coming right before God's throne, into this place of government. And if you continue reading on there, eventually it says, and do not forsake the gathering, the assembling of the body, or the assembling of the saints. And that word assembling means all the parts coming together as one.
Amen.
You see, this is why don't forsake the gathering of the brethren. Because we must come together to achieve what he wants to achieve.
Amen.
It's not about don't forsake it because we need your tithe this week. No. Don't forsake it because if you're not there, there's a part of the body missing. And we're not going to be able to fulfill what it is he wants to do that day.
Amen.
And then he's not going to get what he wants over your city because you didn't come to the assembly, the gathering together of the body in that day.
Amen. Yes.
Because every time we gather, he has things for us to do. They've been written in our books. And guys, just for one moment, think about all the things God has said over this region. He wants to do them. And he has been waiting on a body. So I can assure you that every time you get together, he's going to have assignments for you. Because he's been waiting for the day when his body would finally come together and he could say, right, let's do this thing. I've been waiting 50 years. When God speaks a word, he doesn't want it to wait forever. He wants it to come, but the challenge is there's no body to administrate it. And in this season, God is speaking to you. And I want to tell you, he's not speaking to, it's not that he's not, but God is speaking to you. There's a reason you are here this morning. You. Okay, however many there are of us, 30 of us, 40 of us, he's speaking to you. Because this group here, you can change the government over the state. You only need, do you know what I'm saying? If 10 could save Sodom and Gomorrah, there's more than 10 of us here.
Come on.
And you know what? Even if there were only 3 of us here, we would be able to start. Because where 2 or 3 are gathered, there I am in the midst of them.
That's right.
And you know what? We would be able to at least start.
That's good.
That's why, no matter where you are, if there's 2 or 3, start. Start understanding this pattern. Join together. Come before him. Be bone to bone. But you're not 2 or 3. Look at you. And you're here because it was written for you to hear this. Because you are meant to be part of this.
Amen.
Okay? You can't sit in these meetings and, oh, well, that's for somebody else. No, if it was for somebody else, you wouldn't be here.
That's good.
We've got to get over this thing of thinking, oh, well, I just decided to come today. It's not really for me. It's for those people who belong to this thing. No. God is bigger than that. He arranged it that you were here today. I know you thought you made that decision, but he's God.
Yes, he is.
Okay? So he wants you to hear this. Because he wants you to understand that you can change the state. You can be his body, a part of his body. But you need to decide, I'm going to, with the rattling going on, bone to bone, I'm going to take up my place. I'm going to start to learn. All of the things we've talked about, I'm going to start to learn. Because I understand it's not about us just coming together to sing songs and hear a word. It's about him and his government and his glory being established.
That's good.
Because when his government comes, when it's established, his glory can sit on the throne that we have established.
My God.
And that's what we spoke about at the beginning. We said we're looking to release glory from the courts of heaven. This is how we're going to do it.
That's good.
This is how we're going to do it. It's going to take practice.
Yes.
It's going to take a little bit of laying down my own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's going to take a lot of laying down my own stuff.
Okay.
But he wants to do it.
Amen.
And you felt that this morning.
Yes.
Just that little bit this morning. We just came and stood together and he was with us.
Yes.
And out of that, I believe he's speaking this word. And he's saying, you are my body.
Yes.
So Father, I thank you, Lord, for just how you have brought this together. Father, I want to thank you that I have been privileged to even be here and to hear this word myself. Father, your grace towards us astounds me. Your love towards us astounds me. Because, Father, none of us did anything to deserve this. But, Father, you have looked and you have remembered us. You've built, even this weekend, line upon line, precept upon precept, to bring us to this place. And I want to say this. If, as you've been listening and you felt something stir in your heart, and you want a purpose in your heart, Lord, I want to be part of the Ekklesia. I want to be activated in the body of Christ to be part of this Ekklesia. I want you to stand up. Because it's an outward sign to everything that is watching us, both heaven and the demonic realm, to say, we hear what God is saying, and we want to say yes. So, Father, as we are standing here today, one body, your Ekklesia, Father, we say yes.
Yes. Yes.
We don't understand everything, but we are willing to learn.
Yes.
We want to submit ourselves under your hand.
Yes.
We say, teach us. Teach us. And we say yes.
Yes.
What I see happening, even as you all said yes, I saw like a record being made. I saw a book and I saw a record of your names being made in the book. And then I began to see these angels, and they're bringing the menorah in here. A lampstand. Which is what Pastor Rob was speaking about yesterday. That the Lord is releasing a lampstand, which speaks of a governmental authority. And I believe it speaks of the Ekklesia being activated in this place, but even in the state and the city. Now, we're not saying we're the only ones, but in this place right now, the Lord is saying, I'm putting a lampstand.